Most people assume Elise was a woman. That belief is probably wrong. Not because of a theory, but because of historical documents that only came to light long after Beethoven was gone. They don't just change who Elise was, they change why the piece was written at all, and why its real story stayed unclear for over 200 years. This is what we actually know about Elise. The story begins in 2023. Norman Leibrecht's Why Beethoven, published in January 2023, follows every surviving thread of the piece we know as Für Elise, and his conclusion is devastating. Elise never existed. It began in 1865. Ludwig Noll, a young music scholar, visited a retired teacher in Munich, Babette Bredel. She led him to a drawer and pulled out a single worn manuscript in Beethoven's own handwriting. Noll asked her to read the faded dedication aloud, which she did, and said the words that would echo for centuries, Für Elise. 2 years later, in 1867, Noll published his careful transcription and without hesitation gave it the title Babette had spoken. The original manuscript vanished sometime in the 1940s, almost certainly destroyed in the war. But Leibrecht traced the chain backwards, from Babette Bredel to her son Rudolf Schachner, to the papers that had once belonged to Therese Malfatti, Beethoven's piano student in 1810. Here's what actually happened, according to the archival evidence. When Noll asked Babette Bredel what the faded title page said, she appears to have misread it, or projected a name she knew. Some researchers argue that Bredel might have been influenced by her own family. Her son, Rudolf's daughter, was named Elise, and his wife, Elizabeth, was often nicknamed Elise in family records. Beethoven's handwriting was notoriously illegible. The letters T and H of Therese could easily be mistaken for an E. The rest of the words stayed the same, 2 tiny ink smudges. And Therese Malfatti vanished from history. This is not speculation. Austrian musicologist Michael Lorenz has documented the family connections since 2010, connections that tie everything together in a way no one saw coming. Rudolf Schachner, Babette Bredel's illegitimate son and Therese Malfatti's own illegitimate nephew, inherited the manuscript directly from his aunt's estate when she died childless in 1851. He simply carried it home to his mother in Munich, where it ended up forgotten in a drawer for 14 years. No letter, no diary, no conversation book from Beethoven ever mentions an Elise. 0 contemporary evidence. As Leibrecht writes, the most famous dedication in music history was born from a grandmother's mistake. But there is an even darker possibility. British Beethoven scholar Barry Cooper has studied the 2 surviving sketches from 1810. They resemble the published piece but contain no dedication at all. In his 1984 analysis for the Musical Times, Cooper concludes that this was a private bagatelle, an unfinished fragment Beethoven never intended to publish. By the time he returned to it around 1822, completely deaf, he revised it using only his inner hearing and the vibrations of the instrument, yet still never signed it. Spanish musicologist Luca Chiantore goes further in his 2010 book, Beethoven at the Piano, meaning that Noll may never have seen a title page with any name. It might simply have been 5 staves of ink on a scrap of paper. By 2025, serious Beethoven scholarship has narrowed it down to just 3 possibilities, and only one of them truly holds water. The first, and by far the strongest, that the dedication was originally for Therese. two misread letters at the start of a name T and H, taken for an E, and the name was lost forever. This is the view of Norman Lebrecht, Michael Lorenz, and the majority of researchers working today. The second is the romantic favorite, that it really did say Für Elise all along, perhaps for Elisabeth Röckel or Elisabeth Bahrensfeld, nicknamed Elise. This theory still circulates, mainly defended by Klaus Martin Kopitz and Rita Steblin, but the documentary evidence behind it is paper-thin. The third and increasingly accepted theory: there was no dedication at all. Just 5 staves of private notation, a fleeting idea Beethoven scribbled in 1810 and never meant for anyone else's eyes or ears. Barry Cooper, Luca Chiantore, and a growing number of scholars now put the likelihood of this at well over 70%. When Beethoven wrote Für Elise in 1810, his hearing was already severely damaged. By 1817, he was almost completely deaf, unable to hear even a full orchestra. He never knew that the 9 fragile notes he set down for the right hand would become the most instantly recognizable 9-note phrase in the history of music. Those 9 notes now echo from pocket phones in Tokyo subways to hesitant fingers of millions of children taking their very first piano lesson. He never imagined those notes would outlive empires, wars, and every recording technology humanity ever invented. And the cruelest irony of it all, the question he never asked, who was Elise, became the one question the entire world has spent a century and a half asking him. So maybe the real mystery isn't a woman. Maybe it's silence. The silence of a lost page, silence of a misread word, or the silence of a composer who wrote feelings he never dared speak. Für Elise survives not because of a name, but in spite of one. It outlived the truth. It outlived the manuscript and even Beethoven himself. And every time those 9 notes ring out, we feel something that needs no dedication to be real. Tell me in the comments, after everything we've uncovered tonight, do you now believe it was Therese Malfatti, erased by 2 misread letters? Or that an Elise truly existed, Elisabeth Röckel, Elisabeth Bahrensfeld, or someone else lost in time? Or that there was never any name at all, just a lonely fragment from a man who could no longer hear his own music? Are we still playing a ghost story? Did we simply spend a century and a half chasing a name that was never there? Or did Beethoven leave us something far greater, a melody that belongs to everyone and no one? Because, in the end, the music itself has always been the only answer. If you enjoy this video, please like, subscribe, and also hit the notification bell for more videos like this. And if you haven't seen part 1 in this series yet, click the top right card on the screen. That's where it all started.